Hello, I'm Transcender Lee, and I am still trying to transcend boundaries that keep us apart and limit our lives. Today we're going to take a look at boundaries of gender. Gender used to be so simple. It meant the same thing as physical sex. If you wanted to know somebody's gender, you just looked between his or her legs. And not only that, but once you knew somebody's gender, then there were a whole lot of other things that were supposed to be determined by the gender. Men, of course, were supposed to be masculine. They were supposed to look a certain way, dress a certain way, act, walk, talk, think a certain way, have a certain role in society and in the family. Women, on the other hand, were supposed to be feminine. Again, all these different characteristics they were supposed to have determined by the gender. Okay, but the problem was, it just didn't always work out that way. Now there's a different way of looking at gender. It is no longer considered to be something physical. It's considered to be something mental and emotional. Your gender is what you think and feel about whether you're male or female, man or woman. And along with that, there's a change in the idea of masculinity and femininity. Now, instead of just being those two things, men are supposed to be fully masculine, women are supposed to be fully feminine. Now the idea is that there's a gender spectrum, a continuum from very masculine to very feminine. And most people actually lie someplace in between those two extremes, fully masculine and fully feminine. But it has gone even more complicated than that. And that in itself, of course, transcends traditional boundaries about masculine and feminine, male and female. But now we see and hear more and more about transgender people, people who actually say that their gender is the opposite of their physical sex. I'm an example of that. I'm a person who was born physically male, still am, and yet I self-identify as female, self-identify as a woman. And of course, there are also people who were born physically female, but they self-identify as male, as men. Now, that transcends really the most basic traditional boundary of gender, in that your gender may be completely different from the physical sex you were born with. And yet it gets even more complicated than that, because now some transgender people are saying that they're not male or female, that they have no gender at all. Some, on the other hand, may say, I'm both male and female. Why do I have to be just one or the other? Some are even saying that there's some different gender altogether. Some first, second, sorry, I'd be talking about third, fourth, or fifth gender that may not even have a name yet. Now, when you get into this kind of thing, you're hardly even just talking about transcending traditional boundaries of gender. I mean, you're practically throwing the concept of gender out the window. So, naturally, with all these challenges to the traditional concept of gender, it's beginning to have an impact on society. And whenever you have an impact on society, you have an impact on politics. Now, gender has always been political. Think about it. 100 years ago, women could not even vote in America. And then when they got the vote, for a long time, they still did not have significant numbers of women in the House of Representatives or the United States Senate. And even now, we have never had a woman president of the United States, even though in 2016 it looked as though we might be about to get one. And now that you have so much more visibility of transgender people, even new political issues are being raised. The most noticeable one so far is, of course, the one about what public bathrooms should a transgender person use. And that issue is significant because we're seeing that it is causing considerable resistance from people who are not at all comfortable with the changes in the traditional concepts of gender. So where is it all going? What is the future of gender? Will we ever get to the point where gender is almost a non-issue? Where people hardly even care what gender somebody is? Don't hold your breath, because gender is just so deeply ingrained in the way that human beings think about themselves. So what will happen? Well, I think we will see more and more people transcending more and more traditional boundaries of gender. How far will it go? I don't know, but I know one thing. I know that it is going to be absolutely fascinating watching that process. Since we are talking about gender, I have to say this would be a wonderful time to read my book, Woman Incognito, Transsexual Without Transition. It tells my gender experiences, but in any case, check out my website, read my blog. You can follow me on Facebook and Twitter. And most of all, please do join me here again next time when we will explore yet another group of social boundaries and the ways that people are beginning to transcend them. See you next time.